Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. This is the podcast where we have representation from both the left and the right, and we're going to talk about current events and issues that are going on, and try to find common ground, try to find what we agree on. And there's usually more that we agree on than what we disagree on, but for whatever reason, everyone likes to focus on what we don't agree on. And so it's a different kind of podcast. Most people, this isn't your echo chamber. This isn't where we're just going to tell you what you want to hear and all the talking points, and everyone is going to agree with you, and you're going to be warm and fuzzy. We're going to disagree, but we're going to try to find what we agree on. So it's a civilized and sophisticated podcast. So welcome to it. Ryan Cragen here, me, Tommy Triplett. I'll be the conservative side. Ryan's the liberal side. We got a few things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Trump and the charges against Trump. We're going to be talking about the new social media law in Utah that just passed, and then just kind of see where the conversation goes. But we do want to mention our sponsor. Lux Bidets.
Yeah, that is something we do agree on, Tom, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big bidet fans.
Big bidet fans. Huge bidet fans. I was, again, it's like it happens all the time, right? It just reminds me. I was away at a conference in North Carolina this last week. Missed my bidet. Man, there are just times where you're like, oh, I wish I had my bidet.
Once you bidet, you never go back. Doesn't really rhyme, but
no, it doesn't. But that's okay.
That's the way I feel, right? You kind of like you go back to the old toilet paper, and you're like, "What am I doing? What am I doing with my life?
It's wrong. It feels wrong.
This is barbaric."
Yeah, and just as I don't know that Lux is ever going to listen to this podcast, right? But at one point, I joined like a Kickstarter campaign for a portable bidet. It wasn't built by Lux, right? But maybe that's what Lux needs to do next, right? Portable bidet. So you can just take it with you when you travel. It was actually kind of cool. It was strange, right? Like obviously you can just fill it up with water when you get there, but it was like this weird canister and it had a spray nozzle on it. Boom, portable bidet.
It was a water bottle that was spray.
And here's our longtime listeners will remember we used to have my brother on here, right? Who actually turned me on to bidets forever ago. I ordered two of them. They never delivered them, right? So it was one of those failed Kickstarter campaigns, but I ordered one for me and one for Josh just because he is such a huge bidet fan. So yeah, maybe we just need to get water bottles that squirt. That you're right, Tom. That's the solution.
Yeah, as long as you got enough pressure.
All right, maybe
awesome.
We should. Yeah, let's skip past bidets and let's talk about Donald Trump because, of course, he loves everybody talking about him.
For sure.
It is Monday, April 3rd. It's been kind of incessant in the news for about the last week that Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in Manhattan. And according to all the news, he is in Manhattan tonight. He flew up today and is going to get arraigned tomorrow on the charges. We don't know all the charges, right? Those are still sealed. So we'll find those out tomorrow. But it's pretty clear that they are tied to hush money that was paid indirectly through Michael Cohen, his fixer, during the 2016 presidential campaign to Stormy Daniels and apparently one other porn star potentially, in order to prevent their accusations that he had sex with them from coming out into the public. And yeah, so it gets complicated. Maybe we can go into some of the details. I don't know how many details you want to go into about like what laws he's broken. I did read a little bit more about that. But let's jump into it, Tom. So broad level take, what's your take on Trump being indicted, arraigned, and potentially prosecuted on this?
Yeah, well, and just to clarify, I don't think it's illegal to pay someone to hush money about something. It's the classification, right? How it was categorized that he paid out of campaign funds versus personal funds, and that's right. I think that's where it's come to.
Yes,
that's where the charges sort of surround is that.
Yeah, so
misappropriated funds.
Yeah, so I think it's worth, just to clarify for people who maybe aren't familiar with it. What was it, 120, $130,000 that
130,000, yeah.
130,000 that Michael Cohen scrounged
Trump's
together,
lawyer.
right? Yeah, so this is Trump's lawyer at the time. He got the money together initially and paid Stormy Daniels to not say anything about them having sex. But the context is what really is the kicker, right? Because that hush money, because you're right, just paying people hush money, I guess, if everybody agrees legally to settle something that way, so be it. But that hush money, the $130,000, was then considered, because it was meant to prevent bad media for a presidential campaign,
Right.
was seen as a campaign donation. And of course, there are caps for how much money you can donate to a campaign. This is way over the cap. So there's that. And then on top of that, it wasn't declared as a campaign donation, right? So there's like the two-factor thing that it's over how much you can pay, and it wasn't declared. So that's what got Michael Cohen in prison, right? Like, he admitted to it, he pled guilty, and he served time in prison for having done it. And now where the charges are coming in is that Donald Trump, I don't know, I mean, Donald Trump and his people, right? Basically tried to cover up that they paid Michael Cohen back. So they did some business shenanigans to hide the fact that they paid him back for the money, which means they lied, right? And lying in the business practice, I don't think is a huge deal, right? Like, it's a problem, but they lied to cover up another crime, right? So that's where they get like the double damage here, and that's why he's got like 30 something charges against him, which is pretty fascinating. Okay, so I think we're somewhat clear, right? Again, neither of us are attorneys, so we're not claiming any special knowledge on this, but your take on it, Tom. What are you thinking?
Well, this is interesting. So yeah, first president ever to be indicted, right?
Yes.
And like, I am not a Trump fan. And I've never voted for Trump. I like Trump. I like the things he did when he was in office, and I rooted for him. But not a fan of him, and I wouldn't ever vote for him again. And I didn't vote for him, and I wouldn't vote for him in the future. And and here's the thing. I think most people that are like-minded like me just want Trump to go away. We want Trump to just go away. And this is like, to me, they say there's no such thing as bad PR and or bad press. And I agree. And this is like, it's, oh my gosh, like, if you want to ignite the base, you arrest your guy. That's what you do. And it's just like, oh my gosh. I think Trump's actually, like, I was surprised he was like, I'm going to go, he willingly went there to New York, and I think it's because he knows this is going to be such good publicity. And it's gonna be, it's so bad because, like, well, I mean, it's like, I don't want anyone to be above the law. I want him, if he did something wrong, I want him to face charges. I do. But this is really hard because it's like, you can't tell me Hillary Clinton didn't break some laws when she had her server and was talking with state sovereign individuals on a personal server and leaked in the server. And we know this because there were people that did lesser things and went to jail in the military, right? And she didn't face any crimes for this. You can't tell me, like, there's weird stuff going with Hunter Biden and the Bidens, and like, the whole thing just reeks, right? And like, there was going to be some criminal charges, and I do not believe at all that the president is completely innocent of anything there. And like, so you're like, okay, we're gonna apply this law equally to everyone. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, is there some level of immunity when you hit a certain state level, like that you can be like, you can get away with a little bit, because it's like, you do anything. It's just like, I think they were saying, Bush sent people to war. and people died, right? Where is,
Sure.
is he, we're right. Is he responsible? Should he, how much responsibility? And there has to be some level of like, okay, well, I made decisions on the best thing that I knew, and I didn't, how quickly, when COVID come out, how quickly do you shut the borders or not shut the borders, right?
Right.
And like, people could die, there's lives at stake, but there's also the economy at stake. And it's just like, there's all these decisions, and like, you made the wrong one, arrest
Sure.
him. And it's like, so I'm actually surprised that this came about, and it looks like it's some DA in New York that really wants to get Trump. And that's what it would appear like, right? They're very motivated to get Trump, and they're going to make sure, they're not going to let anything fall through. But I think it will be such a gift to Trump in the long run. I mean, there's so many things of like people being thrown into jail, from Nelson Mandela to Hitler to like all these people who get arrested and then go back and become leaders, right? And I think you create a martyr, you create this, it fires up the base and all the supporters. It's just like this rallying call. I just think you're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I just want this to go. I just want him to go away, and he's not going away. And I think this DA just lit his campaign on fire. So I don't know. There's a few things. I'm just saying,
Right.
if he broke the law, yes, he should face charges, but I don't feel like that's been applied equally across all of our leaders. And I do think he's been singled out on these charges. And so like, that's where it's a little bit, I do feel like there's some hypocrisy there, and that, yes. And I think, like, I do think the best thing for everyone would be just to let that go and not charge him, and all of us have less Trump in our lives is what it would be, the bigger gift to everybody. So that's my take.
Yeah. And, I don't know that I disagree, right? I think you're right. Certainly it's getting a ton of press, and Donald Trump is absolutely an advocate of there is no such thing as bad press.
Yes.
Right. Like, we know he loves it. He doesn't care if it's all just about his scandal, right?
Yes.
He really just likes being in the press. He's such a narcissist. He loves people talking about him. So on that point, I think we absolutely agree. The only problem that I would see with your argument is that he'd already declared that he's running for office. He's in the press all the freaking time anyway, right? Now, yes, this is a whole bunch of free press, and like, he doesn't have to do anything other than fight the charges for a very long time, and go to jail would be great. But he's certainly getting a lot more press, right? So you're right on that point. I think I would agree that it's not a good thing. Is there potentially some inequality here? Perhaps, right? I'm not going to try and defend Hunter Biden. I don't know a whole lot about Hunter Biden, but he seems like a big scumbag, right? And he's probably broken a bunch of laws. So if he went to jail, I would have no qualms with that. That said, right, I don't know how we could say that Trump didn't break the law, right? He broke the law. Michael Cohen already went to prison for basically what Trump did, right? So Cohen was the fall guy for this. Trump broke the law. And I am really idealistic. I know I am, right? Like, there's no question in my mind. There are a lot of times where I'm like, this is the right thing. We should do the right thing, right? Because it is the right thing to do. And this is one of those instances where I was like, I don't care if it's Joe Blow, the, janitor, right? Or Donald Trump. If you broke the law in a very public way and everybody knows about it, you should have to suffer the consequences, right? Now, again, to your point, this is probably great for him, right? For the press part, it fires up his base. There are people who are going to protest. I'm going to make a note about this, right? So we'll come back to it. But so my general sense is like, I think I agree with you on the PR part, but I still want him to totally face the charges. And man, I would love to see him convicted of this. There's no way he's going to serve prison time. Like, can we just agree on this, that the maximum penalty is 4 years in prison? If he got the maximum, which is up to the judge. So if he's convicted on all of these charges, which it's gonna take years to play out, because Trump loves to play like delay, right? This is what you can do when you have a lot of money. But the maximum prison sentence that he could get if he's convicted on these charges is 4 years in prison. I would love to see him convicted. I don't think he's going to spend a day in jail, even if he's convicted, because the way our system is set up, it's just so rigged in favor of rich people that, like, it's a joke, right? Rich people don't go to jail. It's so rare that they go to jail. I don't know. What do you think?
That he won't go to prison, or
I don't think he's going to go to prison.
No, I doubt he would go to prison. I doubt he would go to prison. But would. I have no doubt he'll probably plead not guilty, and then it'll be some long drawn out circus of stuff. Now, does he end up getting charged on something, and how would that play out? Like, I don't know, right?
He's going to get charged. You mean, is he going to get convicted? Because he's getting charged tomorrow, right? Like, the charge is
right. Sorry, yeah, convicted of
okay.
That they find him guilty, right? And
right.
that he has to face a sentence. So that would be interesting, and is he's president by then or something, right? You're like, okay, how does this work? So it's
okay, so I want to come back to this other thing, but let me just do this real quick. There is a bit of a conspiracy theory, and I'm going to just call it like that, right? Because no one really knows. I don't think anybody really knows, except maybe Donald Trump and some of his most, his closest advisors. But there's a bit of a conspiracy theory on the left that part of the rationale for Trump running for office in the first place is because he knew he had broken so many laws that when he was president, he couldn't be charged, right? Because a sitting president can't be indicted. Immunity. Yeah.
And so the idea would be, if I can run again, then I can be guilty. Then
I can avoid the charges for another 4 years, right? And so he's basically just like, he's broken so many laws. He's violated so many things, right? I mean, he's a scumbag as a business person anyway, right? He screws all sorts of his subcontractors. He doesn't pay people. He's filed for bankruptcy multiple times. He really is just like a horrible human being at so many levels, right? And a terrible business person. He's lost billions of dollars. He's not a good business person, and he's a terrible person as it is. But let's say, and we do know, right, because his tax records have finally come out, he owes back taxes to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. But that all got delayed for 4 years when he was president. All of that got delayed. So the IRS was going after him, right? And he used this as an excuse for not revealing his tax records for years.
I'm
being audited. Yeah, which the audit was all put on hold because he was the president, right? So he was already audited. We knew how much he owed. He owed hundreds of millions of dollars in back taxes. You and I, Tom, we pay more every year in taxes than Donald Trump does. Just so people are clear on that, right? He's been paying less than $7,500 a year for like 5 years leading up to his presidency, and then during his presidency, he was paying very little as well. So he's been playing fast and loose with the law for a very long time. That conspiracy theory is out there.
That's an interesting way to get out of a charge, right? Just become president. I think I might try that next time I get a speeding ticket. Yeah.
Tell you what, officer, I'm going to be president.
If I'm president, I'm not going to pay this. I'm going to start my campaign today.
So, like I said, conspiracy theory. I don't put a ton of weight into it, but at some level it kind of makes sense. Okay, so the other question that I do have on this, he's been directly, indirectly pushing, right, through True Social or wherever he has a public platform these days, to get people to come protest and potentially get violent over these charges. What's your take on that?
He's been petitioning people.
He's been like asking people, right? So he's been like
violent.
If you look at the language that he's using, he keeps referencing January 6th.
Okay. Well, no, I don't. I don't think there's anything to that.
Well, I
But
mean, he's referencing January 6th,
but
right?
on
And it
January
is
6th, he told everyone to be peaceful and to go home. And like,
the
oh yes, it's well documented. Um,
yeah.
like
We may have to agree to
in
disagree on
his
that one.
speech, he has some like, you know, open
He
to
has some.
interpretation, but like we went in this on Twitter on his Twitter ban, and we read those tweets, and I was like, this does not sound inflammatory at all. And like, but they interpreted it as it when they banned him from it. But like, and then he did follow-up stuff and was like, hey, peacefully leave, blah blah blah. And anyway, so no, that's not, I mean, I think that's the left really wants that to be said. They would love that to be said, but no, I don't think so. Like right now, his best thing is to get played out as a victim. You know what I
You
mean?
think?
Oh yeah, and he should look defiant and stoic, but that he's getting, the people are picking on him, right? That's the corrupt system that's trying to take him down, and that it's orchestrated by Biden to attack his political opponents, his future rival, right, in the 2024 election. That's going to be his rival, and so he's going to try to take him out right now. That anyway, for sure.
Okay.
No, though the left would want him to be violent, 100%.
So he posted on True Social, right? Protest, all in caps, which whatever. Protest, take our nation back. We just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest.
That
You
if
don't
someone
see.
pulled violence out of that, then that's just crazy.
Okay. So you don't think anything with that?
So anyone says protest that it secretly means violence? No, absolutely
No,
not.
just saying, right? Like those ideas have come up again. This is a left-right thing.
Totally.
So
No,
people on the
I
left are saying like this is what it seems like he's trying to do.
but I mean, like, how many times did the BLM say protest, protest? We need to protest this, right?
And most of the time it was peaceful protests. We talked about this
Yeah.
very early on. It was like 96% of the time. There was just a handful that it was not. So
Yes. Well, that's my point, is that like no one in the media was like, oh, they want to do violence, right? And then it's only when you saw violence that you were like, oh, and even when there was violence, they were like, well, it was mostly a peaceful protest, is
right.
what was said. And so yeah, no, I think those are
People reading into it.
yes. Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
Well, what was I gonna say? Now I'm forgetting. But yeah, this whole yeah. I like I've heard people say, oh, Trump's going to be the nominee. And I was like, no, I don't think he is. I think he's done. I don't think he's done. But I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to be the nominee. I'm like,
Do you think because of this?
Well, but even before this, I'm like, oh my gosh, people just can't leave him alone. And he's just all over the place. And now I'm like, now with this, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to be the nominee. He's going to, unless something changes, where he's going to be the nominee. I'm like, you just guys leave it alone. Stop touching it. I mean, like every night show is going to be talking about this, right? Tomorrow. I mean, it's just going to be Trump, and they just can't help it.
Okay, I'm trying to think through the logic here, right? Because obviously we've indicted and we're arraigning, right? We being the federal, the state government there, right? So it's actually the state of New York, a former president.
Mm-hmm.
That's historic, right?
Yes.
So you kind of have to say something about it, right? And I get that. Like, there was a lot of criticism of the media during the 2016 presidential election because everybody, all the media was going after Trump all the time, which gave him a whole bunch of press, and that may have actually contributed to him getting the nomination and winning.
For sure.
So I get that, right? Like, I'm conceding that point, right? But isn't there at some level, and you can tell me, right? Like I'm totally getting this wrong, but at some level, you have to think that inside the minds of the big media corporations, right? Like all the big media outlets, they're thinking, ha, this is really bad for Trump, right? Like he is being arraigned on criminal charges.
Yeah.
We have to tell everybody, and this will finally crack through to people that they'll be like, oh, he's a scumbag. He's a criminal, right? You don't think that's going to happen?
I mean, this is what I was saying earlier. Has history taught anyone anything? Like, how many political leaders have been imprisoned, and then it just made them stronger, right? And like political foes, right, or whatever you want to call it. The guy in Brazil was in
Jair
prison.
Bolsonaro.
Yeah. And then he just came back, right? It's just
like, oh, you mean Lula, who just got elected?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how often do we? I mean, like, you really think everyone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, he's a criminal. You charged him. He's like, no one's learned anything. No one is a study of history, right? It's like. It's like that's not what's gonna happen, and I get it, right? You want to be like, look, no one's above the law, and this is this is setting an example, and he's this is what you get when you're corrupt and all this crap, right? And it's like, no, that's not how this works.
Okay, so just for fun, right? Because like we don't know what's going to happen, of course. Obviously, he's going to fight it. He's going to draw it out as long as he can, because you're right. This is all PR for him, right? This is press. It's not necessarily good press, but all press for him is good press because he's just in people's minds all the time. He'll use this as his base. He's going to get a lot more money. People give him money for the dumbest things. I can't believe they still give him money. But let's say he goes through this whole thing, right? The whole trial. And he gets convicted. Let's say just on the off chance that actually happens, right? Because he's a rich person, it's probably not going to happen. But let's say it does. Do you want him to go to jail?
Before the election or after the election? He gets convicted.
Yeah. So the election is in 2024, right?
Yeah.
So we're like a year and a half out.
This could happen before, or it could happen
yes,
after.
It could, right? So let's say that it happens a year from now, that the actual trial goes through.
October 31st, 2024, 5 days before everyone's gonna.
Right. So the decision comes down. The jury unanimously decides he is guilty on, 27 of the 30 something accounts. And the judge has to make a decision. Do you want him to go to jail?
Oh man. Okay. So yeah. Okay. How is this going to play out? Right. Let's just think about this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
His base and the right are going to be like, oh, this is totally crap charges. This is a person who's and the system is corrupt and it's trying to take down a political leader. Right. Here's the problem. Right. This is how countries fall apart. Right. Is because you start discrediting both sides completely. And until there's no faith in a system anymore, right? That's the problem with this, and this is why governments eventually fail. Is because it turns into the circus, and it feels like and one side's like, oh, this is the whole thing with fake news. When he comes out and like, oh, you're fake news, like he's really the one that introduced that idea and really discredited the media, and like that's taken hold, right? And I do think the media's done it to themselves to a certain extent, but like he really put a name on it and put it out there, and it's like, and I do think the media can continue to report on him. And if they hate him, and they do it to a fault, right? They'll report on this whole thing, fair or not fair, right? They're going to report, if they're CNN, they're going to report one side of it, right? And if they're Fox, they're going to report a different side of it, and they're going to like just tell their side of the story. And it's like, yeah, you're only telling half the story, Jude, and like which panders to their base, but creates but erodes at their credibility. And it's the same they're going to do with the government. And like, if I felt the whole thing was fair, yeah, I'd want him to go to jail, of course. But that's the whole point, is they're going to make you feel like it wasn't fair. and that this corrupt system has been bringing the system down. And then that's the whole point. That's what he's going to do the whole time. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to go for violence. He's going to go look at them, those corrupt, this corrupt government, deep state, and they're all colluding against me because they don't want me to run. And it paints a decent narrative, right? It does. Like it's not, if you were already leaning that way, it wouldn't be hard to believe. They're like, oh, they want to take Trump out, and they want to take him out of the picture because he misclassified a payment, $130,000 payment, right? It's like, oh, we're just nitpicking. And like, you could see that with like, when you look at Hillary Clinton and you're like, yeah, she did some stuff that she shouldn't have done, and nothing, right? Nothing. And you're like, okay, so we're turning the blind eye here, but we're not here. And that does seem that, I mean, I could totally see people being like, this is bullcrap. It was bullcrap, right? And like, and if he did get convicted, I could see people in the streets like going nuts. So that's the issue. And that's why this is such a bad idea in so many ways. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Interesting.
What do you think? Are you agreeing with my
I think we
narrative?
Again, like, so fun bonus, little shout out, a second shout out this episode to Josh, right? But he texted me and he's like, you and Tom agree way too much. You need me back on there because I would push really hard, right? And Tom doesn't push hard enough. You guys just agree all the time. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, that's kind of the point, right? We've got somebody on the right, somebody on the left. We kind of agree. What I was thinking is, in a sense, Tom, it's like you're drawing a very clear comparison between Trump and Hitler, right? And I'm trying to remember the name of that law. Godwin's law? Is it Godwin's law, right? That in any online debate, if it lasts long enough, someone will eventually make a reference to Nazis, which I think is hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Because they always devolve, right? So every online debate will eventually devolve to "you're a Nazi," which I think is hilarious. So I don't think we're doing that per se, right? But
no.
But I don't necessarily disagree with you, right? Like Hitler and lots of autocratic dictators, they do the same thing. They sow seeds of distrust in the system.
Yes.
That builds their base, right? People freak out, they get really upset, they lack, they don't trust the system, and it allows them to rise to power, right?
At the cost of the system, right?
Yes.
Right.
And so I'm not disagreeing with you, right? Like, effectively, Trump is like America's Hitler, right? And I don't say that to say like he wants to kill all the Jews, right? Like, I'm not saying that, right? But he's perfectly okay destroying a relatively decent system. I don't want to say that our system is perfect, right? We have a flawed system, but an okay system, right?
Yes, flawed,
that works.
Incredible. I would say an incredible system, but
it works, flawed. But flawed. And he has found the holes, and he's seeding seeding doubt in the system.
Yes, and
it could destroy the system.
Yeah, it's the Game of Thrones, chaos is a ladder, right?
Oh, yes.
Littlefinger, I think it says that.
Uh-huh.
And and it's, I think, and here's the thing, you could compare it like, oh, it's Hitler. I'm not comparing him to Hitler. I'm comparing to all the freaking political leaders that have done the same thing. Yeah, that have been persecuted, by the standing government and either imprisoned or at least attacked or persecuted to some extent, and then use that as a springboard to be like, oh, look, you're corrupt and you're not giving us a fair fight. And this happens everywhere all the time. And here's the thing, and it does almost look like that is happening, right? A little bit, right? That someone's found an issue that they're going to take issue with him on this thing that could have been that they didn't have to, right? And now we're going to turn this into a big circus. It is going to turn, if it is allowed to, it will turn into a big circus. And I'm like, oh man, this not good.
All right. We may be spending too much time on this, but one last thing. I did listen to a podcast about this, right? Where they were going into a lot of the detail on some of this. The other thing to keep in mind is this is just one case that is being pursued against Trump. There is at least one other. I think there are a couple of others that are seriously being considered. One of them is in Georgia with his election interference during the 2020 election, right? Where he was trying to actually kind of bend them to find, I need another 12,000 votes, right? That case could continue. So what if, right? Would it change things if this case moves forward, right? So he's obviously been indicted. He's being arraigned tomorrow. There's going to be a trial. What if another case comes up and then another case comes up? So let's say he ends up with like 3 criminal trials playing out at the same time. Is that all just feeding his publicity? 100%. You don't think any of those are going to hurt him? The fact that he's got 3 trials going at the same time is not going to turn that corner to where people are like, oh, wow, maybe he is just a criminal.
Right. No, absolutely not. Like have you ever seen, I'm sure you've seen the Jimmy Kimmel and the different things where they try to they go to Trump supporters, a Trump rally, and they're like, and they make them look stupid, right?
Sure. Yes.
And do you think any diehard Trump supporter watched that and was like, no, you're right. I'm going to stop supporting it. Right. No, no. That was only they did that for the lefties who already didn't like Trump. Right. That's all.
Just to make fun of people. It pisses Trump supporters off even more. Right. Yes. It just feeds the fire.
Them more ardent in their. Yes. Yeah. No. So what I was going to say earlier, and that I just remembered, was you were saying, is this a big thing so he can get out of, he's running for president so he can get out of these criminal charges? No, I think fundraising is it's extremely lucrative, right? And both sides, right? And there was this guy, what did he say? Who was the guy? He's the black doctor who ran as a Republican, Ben Carson. Yes.
I think that's his name.
He said, I guess something came up. Oh, they fired his fundraiser. And this is when he was running for president. And he fired his, and I think he got charged. The fundraiser got charged with something. And he said, it was like running a Ponzi scheme. And he was saying how the fundraiser was making money and then hiring out people to make content that were his buddies, right? And charging all these fees and everything like that. And it was like, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like it kind of made me think, and I've seen some more videos since then about like fundraising is a big business, right? And what you can spend on fundraising and what was the word? If you are always campaigning, then you can spend your fundraising money, right? And therefore you can get suits and cars and things and favors and drinks and food and like all this stuff, basically a lifestyle on your fundraising money, as long as you're always campaigning, right? It's all allowed. And it's this big, you can basically get tons of money, right? And it's just like, it's a big business. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure he would have been happy to be, right now he's campaigning and getting donations. Yeah. I mean, he can do it for 2 years plus before, and then he's going to do all throughout if he became president, you do it all throughout the presidency. And then, it's ongoing. And this is what senators do, right? They're just like always campaigning.
So basically you're saying it's just a big grift, right? Like this is just one big,
I mean, I don't think he has any problem being the president as well. Yeah, I would say that about a lot of political leaders, right, that are doing the same thing, right? That they recognize this perpetual campaigning, right? And that this is actually a big business, and this is a way to maintain a nice lifestyle, a lavish lifestyle, is to be these people give bunch of crap. I mean, think about it. Think about any politician. It's a bunch of crap political platitudes that they go on. Oh, blah, blah, everyone's like, oh,
I'm against crime. right? Like,
or just
who's
like,
for crime?
I mean, how many people say we got to fight, and I'm never going to stop fighting for you?
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's so interesting. You've been fighting for 20 something years now. Nothing's changed, and yet you're still fighting. And it's the same people on the other side that are fighting. Everyone's in there just fighting, but it looks like you're all just living a really nice lifestyle in there, and you're all living, like you said, we're all pulling a big grift on all of us. Is what it more looks like you're doing. So anyway, that's what
so that's Tom's conspiracy. I like it, and I'm not going to disagree with it. I think for Trump in particular, but I think there are others, right?
Yeah, I'm just questioning his motivations, but I don't think that's a conspiracy, the whole fundraising thing.
No, I think you're right. It's pretty blatant. I mean, when he releases his digital tokens, that art of him, painted as an astronaut or whatever, and I'm just like,
right.
Seriously? People are buying this, right? Like, apparently people have too much money. I don't know, right? Like, it blows my mind. All right, we've spent way too much time on Trump. No one vote for Trump. Can we just say that collectively, Tom? Can we both agree, like, hey,
doesn't matter what I say. Yeah.
Come on, let's take a position, right? Like, finding common battlegrounds is encouraging all of our listeners to just don't listen to Trump, don't vote for Trump, right? You can vote for a conservative candidate. Like, I'm not even saying don't vote conservative. I'm just saying don't vote for that scumbag, because it's all a big grift, right? Like, done. Yeah? Come on, Tom, say it.
I'm not with you on that. No. Like, do whatever you want, guys. But like, I'm just telling you, A plus B, or 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's like, you can see it all lined up, but like, no, this is what I'll say. Study history, right? Study history. You'll see this has been done 1,000 times before. And it's like, there's nothing new here.
Speaking of something new, that's our segue into segment number 2.
This is something new.
We have a new law in the state of Utah. Tom, do you want to describe this new law in the state of Utah?
Yeah. So in my state, they passed a new law. This is for it's basically to prohibit children from under the age of 18 from using social media unless they have parental consent. It also bans advertising to minors, as well as collecting data on minors. What else was there? Was there anything else I missed?
So it's called the Social Media Regulation Act, and you got it. So anybody under the age of 18 can't have a social media account unless their parents consent to that, right? So their parents have to give them permission. It implements a digital curfew, right? So all the social media companies have to have a curfew, so they can't use it at night. They also mandate that the social media companies have to try and minimize how addictive it is, right? So that has to happen. And even if parents do give permission for their children to have a social media app, parents have complete and unfettered access to everything that their kids post on the app.
Yeah.
So that's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom? You're in Utah. You have teenagers. You have kids under the age of 18. Did you want your state representatives to pass this legislation?
Here's the thing. So last podcast, I talked a lot about advocating and protecting and regulation of teenagers, of minors, right? And that I advocate for that. And so I am not opposed to this at all. I do think I am shocked at how little this is the first thing that's happened and that it's a big deal. I'm actually surprised that this is like one of the first things we've seen, like a major pushback on social media. For minors, because they're the studies. These are based on studies that like this is very detrimental to teenagers, especially teenage girls. If you've studied any of that, it's and so I think it's good. With that said,
okay.
Okay, I have two daughters. We don't allow social media in our house, so they don't have accounts. They don't have accounts
that you know of.
No. Well, that's what I'm getting at is like this is the funny thing. One obeys that rule and doesn't have an account and just doesn't seem to be interested in that. And that's fine. Right. And this is what I'm getting at. Therefore, we didn't need the law. Right. And then the other one went and got a social media account under some friend, under a pseudonym, right, on some friend's phone, and has an account, and that we found out about at some point after a little while. And then she said she wasn't using it anymore, but we've seen her post things on it at certain points at other times, and so we know she's doing stuff, and that's the only one we know about. And there's probably some other ones we don't know about, right? And therefore the law wouldn't have, done anything. She's probably
irrelevant. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. The law is irrelevant.
Well,
so I don't, they did talk about verifying.
Yes. I was about to say, they said that you're going to have to verify with like a parent's credit card or like a driver's license or things like that. And I was like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but so that may have prevented one of your daughters from being able to set up a social media account.
Yeah, I would be interested because here's the thing. I think it's YouTube had a you couldn't have an account, you couldn't create your own channel unless you were 18, and it would say, well, how old are you? And you'd be like, I'm 18. Okay, you can get an account.
Yes.
Like, so easy.
Yeah, to be completely fair, right? I play video games with my son who's 13. Okay. And I've been doing this for 5 years. So when he was 8, I had him sign up for a Steam account. I had him sign up for Discord, right? Because we're chatting while we're playing games or whatever. And I was telling him, dude, you can't put in your actual age. Don't put in 2009, the year you were born, because they won't let you set up the account. Right. So I was telling him, lie about your age so we can play video games online, right?
Right.
Am I bad? Like, I don't think I broke a law. I broke their policies, right? Yes. Like, I guess they could boot him from the system, but like,
no,
come on.
So that's what I'm getting at is like, what is the verification, right? Because there are some ways that you could definitely, guarantee that nearly guarantee that they are 18. You can make it very difficult. Now people are going to complain about that, right? Because if you make it too hard, therefore, and they want to make it as easy as possible, so they're going to try to make it easy. So it's like, you're right. They might, depending on how they enforce this, that they might be able to do it in a great way that will require which wouldn't have allowed my daughter to get an account. So that's we'll see how this goes. But so I'm almost kind of I'm sort of like agnostic on this. Like I'm just sort of like, it's great. I do think it's with the parents, and I think that's funny because the lawmakers said that they were like, we're expecting parents to step up and regulate this, and they're not, and so we're passing this law. And I think ultimately it's with the parents, and it's education, and it's talking to them, and it's talking, like we don't allow our kids to be on their phones in their rooms by themselves. And like we're like, okay, you want to scroll and text and stuff like that, come out, like rules like that. I think it's just being involved more, and we talk about it a lot. We do a lot of family lessons about media and the effects of it, and getting addicted to screens and things like that, and we talk about it a lot. So I think that's important, and I don't think we're that great at it either, so we're okay, but I think we're doing a lot more than most people. But so I'm like, I don't think it's going to make any difference in the way anyone is doing anything. Like as far as in my thing, maybe it'll make a big difference for some people, but I don't know. So that's my take.
Yeah. Interesting.
What do you think? What do you think?
Well, so I do have one big concern with the law. Again, I heard a podcast about this, right? And so I probably wouldn't have caught all of this. I mean, it did make, national news media when it passed. So it was a big deal because it's the most restrictive social media regulation law in the US, right? In fact, I think it might be in the world. where social media is illegal, right? So obviously China is a whole different ball of wax, but it is the most restrictive. There are other places that have done a few things towards this, right? But nothing as comprehensive as just like a full-on ban, that kind of thing. So you've kind of revealed like what you do with your kids. With my son, right, who's 13, he doesn't really have a lot of interest in being on social media. My wife has a Facebook account, she has an Instagram account, but she never uses them, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has them because some people like wanted to communicate with her on Facebook a couple of times, like old classmates from high school or whatever. So she created it, but she doesn't use it. Instagram, it's a work related thing. Again, she doesn't use it. She just has to track something on there occasionally. So she has those. I have used social media a bit more. I think I'm swearing off Twitter at this point, right? Yeah. Well, we can come back to
Stick
that.
it to Elon.
At some level, yeah. It's basically become, a $44 billion vanity toy for Elon Musk, right? Like
totally.
That's totally what it is now. And I'm just not going to contribute to it. So
that's worth 20 billion now.
Yeah, I know. It cost him $24 billion. I know, he said it. Now it's worth $20 billion. It's cost him $24 billion just to be the highest, like the most followers on Twitter, right? That's a lot of money for his vanity. A lot of money.
Elon Musk wanted some feature changes. He buys the company. Trump doesn't want to get charged with criminal charges. He becomes president. Like, this is like very extreme measures to get what you want.
Hey, when you're a billionaire, like this is what you do, right?
This is what you do.
I do, I'm still on Facebook. People do communicate with me. I probably post once a month, if that, these days, and it's all benign stuff. So we're not a huge social media family, and Torrin, my son, right, has just not really expressed any interest. Now, when I say he's not on social media, he quickly says, "Oh, Dad, that's not true, right? I'm on Discord." And I'm like, "Yeah, but Discord's really different, right? Like he uses that exclusively to chat with me or friends while he's playing video games, right? Does that count as social media? I don't think so.
I do think it is, but I know what you're saying, and I think right. Boys seem to use social media a lot differently than girls do. Yeah, and I think I think most boys are same as your son, where they're like, it's gaming, it's for gaming, right? It's connecting with their gamer friends. Yeah, he has zero interest in Instagram and like posting selfies. I can't tell you the number of times I've just been walking across my campus, right? And I'm pretty good about it. It's changed a little bit in the last year. I'll reveal something geeky about myself in a second. But for the most part, when I'm walking across my campus, right, I'm a university professor walking across my campus, I try not to have my phone out. And I'm the weird one, right? Yes. Like everybody these days is walking with their phone. Mm-hmm. And the number of times I see, particularly women, right? It's not exclusively women, cock that phone at an angle and make the like fish face or whatever. Yeah, Tom just did it for those who are listening, on the radio. Tom knows how to do that fish face. It was really good, Tom. Yeah. I don't even know how to do it, right? But fish face is great. It is a sexy fish face, Tom. Let's just admit it. But it's all the time, right? Yeah. And I'm like, why? Like in my brain, it just does not register why you would do that. Right. And I'm the weird one. Like everybody's on social media. Everybody's posting these selfies all the time. I don't get it. It just doesn't work for me. That's never how I've used social media. I just don't understand it. Right. So it is pervasive. I get that. The other thing that arguably you could maybe call social media, my son has a Google account and he does watch stuff on YouTube. Right now, he doesn't post on YouTube, but he does watch stuff on YouTube. Yeah. He doesn't follow friends, anything like that. He just, he's a consumer of media. And that's fine. So I see that as like a Netflix type thing. He's just watching stuff. He has no social media. He's expressed no interest in social media. And we've talked about it. And I'm very aware of the studies suggesting that social media use is associated with anxiety and depression, particularly higher among women, right? But it's there, right? The studies do exist. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly a big contributor to this.
So when he shows no interest in using social media, am I concerned about that at all? Nope. That's a win for me, right?
Right.
So at some level, like, I don't disagree with this law in the sense that, like,
it doesn't really have an effect.
it wouldn't even affect us. Like, if we
Right.
were in Utah, it would make no difference to what we do in our home, right? If my son said, I kind of want a social media account to just like talk to my friends more, I'd be like, okay, but you already use Discord and you use text messages on your phone, right? Like, you're fine. Like, you still communicate with them fine. So I don't know that it would make a huge difference. And I actually don't really have a problem with, like, you only get to use this under the age of 18 if your parents consent, right? Like, okay, that's fine. Putting restrictions on it, we do deal with him watching YouTube later at night. He shouldn't be, right? So we don't love that, but he'll take his tablet. He'll take his tablet into his room because that's where his charger is, right? And then we're like, okay, go to bed. And he doesn't always go to bed, right? YouTube is feeding him that garbage. And that's fine. So I get those things. Where I have one beef, I think, with this is the privacy thing.
The parents having
unfettered access to everything that their kids do on social media, right? And the reason why I say this is, I'm trying to think, like,
maybe there's not a good home life, and
that's where I'm going, right?
The minor can't talk with anyone.
Bingo.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna give the example of, like, when we were growing up, we didn't have social media, right?
Right.
So we would do this at school, right? We'd be at school in the lunchroom, or after school, or in between, or whatever. We would find opportunities to talk to people, and that's not exactly how people do it today. I'm sure that still happens to some degree, but social media has been like a lubricant to have those kinds of conversations. You can have those conversations all the time now. So let's say that there is, like, some abuse, or, there's a problem in the home, or there's, somebody's dealing with difficulties, or maybe it's, just a disagreement with their parents on some parenting practice, right? Like, whatever it is, I'm actually a pretty big advocate of privacy, right? And this might lead us down a different path. I do use you occasionally, Top, not by name, right? But I say one of my friends took a very different approach to his online persona from what I did, right? So in mine, I don't know if you remember us having this conversation. It was years ago. On mine, I have multiple websites, right? I'm very easy to find, but my logic was, if I put enough content about me online, then what people will find is exactly what I want them to find, right? It's not like I'm trying to hide some nefarious alter identity, but I've overwhelmed
control
Yes. And if I recall, your approach at one point was like, I want nothing about me online, so people can't find anything, right? And the scary part about that is, people can still find stuff about you online. Now it's just not the stuff that you want them to find, right? So I do respect the idea of privacy, right? Like, I think we all should have private space that is like our space. This is what we get to do. And this is part of the reason why I wrote an article at one point, published in a magazine, where I went on a diatribe against Elf on the Shelf and Santa Claus, right? Because when you teach, I know it's kind of a big tangent, but at some level, what you're teaching kids for that 1 month out of the year where you, like, really emphasize this, is that you have no privacy. Right? What you do in your room,
they're watching you.
Right?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Big brother.
Effectively, right? And we know that actually contributes to neuroticism and anxiety, right? When you don't think you're ever alone because somebody is always policing your behavior, somebody's always watching you, it increases kids' neuroticism and their anxiety. So I don't like that part, right? That's the one part of this law where I'm just like, no. If you're going to let your kids, you give them permission to get on social media, you gave them permission, right? Let them have conversations that are private. Like, do you have to know everything your kids are doing all the time? And I get it, right? And you could talk more about this, because I think you do have one child who you may want to know more about what that child is doing a lot of the time. But I'm not trying to out anything. You share as much as you want, Tom, right? But I don't like that, right? I don't police what my son does online. I teach him correct principles and let him govern himself. Who did I just quote, Tom?
Oh boy. Oh boy. That's funny. Yeah, because I would use that same thing, right? That's teach them correct principles, let them govern themselves. I think that's good advice. And so what was I going to say? So you were talking about Torin, and yeah, my 13-year-old son, his social media is getting onto a Minecraft server with his friends, and they have like speakers, right? And they're just yelling at each other, right? And have you? And I know you know Jonathan Haidt, but he talks a lot about. Is it him or is it mainly? No, it might be Jordan Peterson. He talks about like girls are into reputation destruction, boys are into physical destruction. And so how that's manifested is boys go on and shoot each other in the head and are killing each other, and girls are in reputation destruction, which is gossip and talking about each other and elevating each other or tearing each other down. But his thing was, he's saying apparently that's not as bad. Boys doing this isn't as bad, but for girls, it seems to be really, because the statistics show that girls are just hugely negatively affected by social media, whereas boys don't seem to be. They are getting impacted, but not nearly as
bad.
Yeah, as bad as girls. And so, like, I think it's different, and it's just like the way they're doing it. Because I agree, it's like Discord and maybe watching a bunch of YouTube videos. I mean, yeah, maybe you got like a screen time addiction or something like that. But like, I'm not. Yeah, it's a lot different than like these kids are getting incredibly like the suicidal rate of girls is just like skyrocketing, and so and the depression and anxiety, and so I do think it's different than, I think there are different kinds of social media. And there's the kind that boys are attracted to versus girls. And I think like I do think like one's clearly having a different effect on everyone else. And
okay, but what about the privacy? I want to know about your thoughts on the privacy stuff.
Yeah, and then I think I kind of agree to an extent. If you're gonna let them have social media, let them have social media. And if they're gonna do all those things already, then like just let them do it. I wouldn't be surprised if they nix that later on, because I agree that's probably the most controversial part of the bill, and that and you could see some case popping up at some point, right, where some parent
is like sexually abusing their daughter or something, right?
Yes, exactly.
And they try and tell an adult figure via social media.
Yeah.
And then they get killed, right? Because so like, yeah, I mean, the possibilities there are really bad. I think that's just a really bad one.
Yes. And like, right, exactly. Like of all the parts of the bill, I could see that getting nixed at some point. And so like, because I agree, like if you've agreed to do it and there's all these like safety measures in place, then let them go do it. Right. If you don't trust them at all, don't let them.
Don't give it to them. Yeah.
Don't give them a phone, right, or whatever. So yeah, so I think we should agree.
Sorry, Josh, you do need to come back to the podcast because we're just going to agree on everything, right?
All get along.
Right and left, not radically right, not radically left. We kind of agree on a lot of things.
It's a big freaking kumbaya podcast is what it is. But yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add on that, or did we hit it? I think we covered it pretty well.
No, I mean, I think it's like I said, I'm surprised that this is the first thing. I'm surprised like this is the biggest thing that's come out, because I think it's like it's probably good. I wouldn't be surprised if more states follow suit with this coming out, and I'll be interested to see how the social media companies react. Like I said, what kind of verification are they going to do? That's going to be really interesting to see. So I like it. I think it's good, and I do think more states are going to do it. And I'm going to be interested to see how this, like, over the next year to 2 years, like what kind of effect did it have, and like did it have any effect, or like did it?
Yeah,
right.
It'll be interesting.
I'm really interested. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Netflix quasi documentary called The Social Dilemma?
Yeah. Did I see that? I'm trying to remember.
It's about social media, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes, I think I saw that.
yeah, so they have a whole bunch, I mean, because it is like a documentary, but then they do like a like a mini movie inside the documentary, right? Where it's like about a family and how social media is kind of destroying everything. And like there's these brains behind, which it's just algorithms, right? But there's like these people, these nefarious people controlling the kids who are using social media by giving them dopamine hits and stuff like that. You know, at some level, it's not like wrong, right? What they're saying. The social media companies hire social scientists like myself, psychologists, sociologists, right? Specifically to like modify what they're doing to make sure that it's as addictive as possible, right? Because the more time you spend on their platform, the more money they make.
Yes.
And they are not going to police themselves. I think that's fair to say, right? Like what justification or motivation do they have to say, you know what, we actually don't want people to spend as much time on this platform as possible? They're not going to do it. Right. Which, okay. So this is interesting, right? Me as the left-leaning individual, I'm the one who likes regulation. You're on the right. This is regulation. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be like the anti-regulation side.
Well, again, this is for minors, right? And it's like, you turn 18, go nuts, man. You want to rot your brains out in the thing? Go for it. And there are plenty that are people that are doing it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like that. The experiment, it is as unregulated as you can get if you're 18, right? Right.
Interesting. Okay, so that's where you would draw the line, where you're like, we need to do regulation for kids. After that, you know, no holds barred, let the social media companies run wild. Doesn't really matter.
100%. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where states do pass legislation for adults. But I would be surprised because it is so addictive, mm-hmm. and I think it is so potent that I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I don't think I'd be in favor of it, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Because I think people will be like, dude, we're, you know, these guys, you know, like there's so much control, and they're robbing the country of so much productivity and self, you know, and anxiety, causing so much anxiety and depression. You know, I wouldn't, and I don't think you'd disagree with me on that a lot of that there's tons of that.
That's all true. Yeah. But, I mean, me stepping away from Twitter probably freed up at its peak, which was about 6 months ago when I was using Twitter the most that I ever had. I was getting lots of notifications on my phone. Twitter's off my phone. I just deleted it. It's gone. Right. Mm-hmm. And I know you had said you had done the same thing at one point. Did you delete Facebook off your phone too? So like, or do you still have Facebook?
I've never had Facebook on my phone, but I have it. I just pull it up on a browser.
Gotcha. So you don't get the notifications, because I do get Facebook notifications. And the weird thing is,
Facebook does send you push notifications.
Emails. Yes.
No, push notifications, even though you don't have the app.
Oh, really?
Isn't that interesting? If you just have a session. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the Social Dilemma, they do kind of, again, that like mini little film inside there where they've got these creepy, nefarious guys are like, oh, send them this. Let's see if we can get them to re-engage, right? The fact that I'm so disengaged from Facebook now, the notifications I get, I'm like, what in the world, right? Because I don't know, I have like 1,000+ friends or something like that. And I guarantee 500 of them are people I don't even know. Like, I don't know these people, right? Like somebody sent me a friend request and I was like, whatever, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. So now Facebook is like sending me these notifications from people whose names I don't even recognize, but at some point they sent me a friend request, hoping that I'll just re-engage, right? Like getting back on the platform. And now I'm just like deleting them. Like,
so-and-so just posted, who hasn't posted in a while, check it out, right? Totally trying to fish you back in.
Yes. Yeah.
Into it. And here's the thing, and we had this debate a long time ago. I don't fault the company. The company is going to go as far as they can.
Mhm.
They always will. And that's what I said. I don't, and I agree. That's why I said I think lawmakers will pass a regulation, but I don't agree with regulation. I think people should just
For
be
adults.
I think we should be adults, and we should know when enough's enough, and we should, and so we're having this gigantic worldwide experiment to see how addictive we could get, and then step back from it, right? And I think the same thing's happening with pornography, right? Same thing's happening with drugs, right? Of like, we've had this decade of like excessiveness, right? Of just like wild prosperity, and we've just like gone nuts. And I think there's a lot of people going like, whoa, oh, you mean whacking off in front of the screen every night is actually not good for me? Looking at 1,000 beautiful women every night, eligible. What did Jordan Peterson talk about this? Like, you could, a single night, you could look at more sexual prospects than a normal person 100 years ago would see in their life, right? And
potentially, yeah,
totally true. And like, you can get it all, and like, yet it's like, oh, but maybe that's not a good idea. It's like we're just like, it's a huge experiment. We're just going nuts on everything, and then we're like, oh, maybe we'll step back from some of that. And I think, so I think the pendulum is going to swing back a bit from a lot of these things, right? Social media, and like I said, pornography. There's a big, what do you call it? The no fap movement. I don't know if you've heard of that. I don't even know what the acronym stands for, but it's basically like not looking at porn and masturbating all the time.
Anti-masturbation movement.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't even know about it.
Oh yeah. And so like, that's a big thing of like, men are kind of like, whoa, like there are side effects to like, or there are consequences for like, just unfettered dopamine hits, right? And so anyway, so like I said, I think it's a wild thing, and I totally am fine with it for children. For adults, go nuts. And like, you probably know, you already know you probably have a problem, but it's like, you'll figure it out at some point.
Interesting. Okay. I think we covered it. I think that was good. Yeah, we hit all the angles. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Tom, look, we don't always agree when it comes to politics, but if there's one thing that we do agree on, it's that there's only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
Listen, I've been using bidets forever, all right? And Lux is the best, all right? So, I mean, I've got like the little squatty potty thing and the bidet. It's like a whole experience. It's probably one of the highlights of the entire day. But like, it gets me clean, and it gets me ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Every time that I use a toilet, it doesn't have a bidet. When I go to a friend's house, I just don't use their toilet, first of all. But that's about as uncivilized as it gets. So civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
That's why everyone should get a bidet.
And just to be clear, right, we want to make it clear, listeners can get their own Lux bidet with 10% off by ordering at luxbidet.com and using our promo code FCBG10, Finding Common Battlegrounds 10. And the last thing that we want to say, Lux is supporting this podcast, but they don't support one side or the other. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.